May the words of my mouth and the meditations of our hearts be aligned with your love, O God, our strength, our courage, and our freedom. Amen. Good morning, All Saints Church. It is wonderful to be here with you, and what an honor to be preaching from this pulpit. My heart rejoices and my soul is dancing to God's tune as I am standing here, which is, by the way, one of the messages I hear from the gospel today, dancing to God's tune. Let's hear the beginning of the passage again. What comparison can I make with this generation? They are like children shouting to others as they sit in the marketplace. We piped you a tune, but you would not dance. We sang you a dirge, but you would not mourn. Apparently, Jesus is lamenting that they are unable, both as individuals as a society, to recognize God's tune. It was true then, and it is true now. It seems to me that lately we have been dancing or attempting to dance to our own tunes. Have you danced with a partner that won't allow you to lead, or who is trying to lead but doesn't have the rhythm or a clue to do it? One pulls from one side and the other one from the other, and inevitable, you end up stepping at each other's foot. It is not graceful and it can be painful. I believe this applies to our present political situation, where dancing to God's tune of justice, liberty, equality, and peace for all seems to be more difficult than ever. It seems that we as a society are unable to recognize what is worth celebrating and what is worth weeping over. We are becoming numb and unable to hear the loving rhythm of the divine. We are not partners with each other in the dance floor. Perhaps this has been always our struggle as human beings, but it seems that lately the struggle has become more evident and more painful to watch. It makes me wonder, am I not dancing for the right things? Am I not weeping for the right things? Are we as a church, are we dancing to Christ's songs that lead us into service, into loving each other, into thinking about the well-being of our neighbor before ours, into lifting our voices for those who cannot do it themselves, into listening, truly listening to each other, especially those who have different views from us, into feeding each other rather than throwing stones at each other, into showing compassion rather than judgment. Is Christ's Son taking us to places where no one wants to go or dare to go? Are we mourning over the brokenness of our country and of our world? Are we mourning and doing what is necessary to free the oppressed, the marginalized? Or are we mourning things that are not truly important? Are we willing to dance to God's tune? Are you willing to dance to God's tune? As I think about this, the image of a dear friend, mentor and sister to us all comes to my mind. When I think of dancing to God's music, I can see Zelda dancing her way out through the hall with her arms up in the air, waving from one side to the other, unafraid to show her moves, unafraid to lead the way. She is an embodiment of what it is to dance to the rhythm of God, both literally and metaphorically. She is a champion in the dance floor, and a wonderful example for us to follow. And I also recognize that dancing to God's tune is not easy. We as members of the Jesus movement, as our presiding bishop calls it, are called to transform this world. We are called to bring this rhythm of love and compassion to everyone we meet, to every corner of the world. The job ahead of us can be overwhelming and almost impossible. And it is impossible if we attempt to do it on our own. However, in God's dance floor, we are not alone. Not only do we have each other, but most importantly, we have Jesus as our dance partner. And this dance partner knows how to move and how to lead. At times, we may feel overwhelmed and clueless on what to do next. Our lives may be challenged by our own personal difficulties or the difficulties of those who we love, anxiety, sickness in the family or here in church, loss of direction, the death of a friend or a member of our family, financial struggles, our children trying to find their own voices, our church going through many changes, which, by the way, is a feeling, is a sentiment that we have felt not only here at All Saints, but also in the diocese. Just yesterday, we participated in the consecration of John Taylor as our Bishop Coadjutor. Both this church, All Saints, and the diocese are having new beginnings, and new beginnings can be scary. John O'Donoghue, in his book Benedictus, says the following about new beginnings. Beginnings often frighten us because they seem like lonely voyages into the unknown. Yet in truth, no beginning is empty or isolated. We seem to think that beginning is a setting out from a lonely point along some line direction into the unknown. This is not the case. Shelter and energy come alive when a beginning is embraced. Goethe says that once the commitment is made, destiny conspires with us to support and realize it. We are never alone in our beginnings, as it might seem at the time. A beginning is ultimately an invitation to open towards the gift and growth that are stored up for us. When facing beginnings, we must learn to dance the new tune that is presented to us. We must dare to imagine where it will take us and how it will transform us. And then we also have the more trivial things, which also affect us and can be scary as well. Just yesterday, when going back to Irvine, where I live, after picking up my son from where he stayed while the consecration service happened, my car died in the middle of the freeway, in the 55. Thanks be to God, we were close to home, and thanks be to God for AAA, who came to rescue us from a very scary spot in the freeway, where the cars passed really quickly and pretty close. While waiting for the tow truck with my son and my mom in the car, I must admit that my anxiety was overwhelming. I was worried about safety, and I also was wondering about today and how I was going to make it here. But obviously I did, I made it. My car did not. It's not working, but God never leaves us alone. She always sends us angels to watch over us, and my angel came in the form of someone from this congregation who picked us up and brought us here today. Her kindness reminded me that I need to pay better attention to God's tune and avoid the noise of anxiety. And it reminded me of the good news that we hear today in this gospel. The good news is that Jesus constantly whispers to our ears the following comforting words, which are a wonderful song to follow. Come to me, all you who labor and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon your shoulders and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble of heart. Here you will find rest for your soul, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. I would like to call your attention to the image of the yoke. The yoke, according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, is a wooden bar or frame by which two draft animals, such as oxen, are joined at the heads or necks for working together. I must admit that at the beginning, I didn't like too much this image, as it seemed to me more related to bondage and servitude. And I wonder, how could I relate it to the image of the dance floor, which is more gracious than this wooden piece of wood in our necks. However, as I reflected more and more about it, I started to like it. Because just as in the case of dancing, it requires working together to a rhythm. You see, if one goes to one direction or decides to sit down, it will just not work. And what is even more reassuring is that when times get harder, and they will become harder, Jesus will not let his side of the yoke go. You see, I can imagine Jesus already wearing the yoke and inviting you to let him be your partner. Jesus tells us that we bear our burdens together with him. Now, I see this image more as a symbol of connection and relationship with God and with each other. I truly believe that when we come to this space and worship together, we are learning what it is to be yoked to each other and to God. Here, around this table, we learn how to see like Jesus. We learn how to hear like Jesus. We learn how to weep like Jesus. And we learn how to dance like Jesus. We are reminded that we don't need to walk the road ahead of us on our own. We don't need to carry our burdens, our suffering, and our challenges on our own. We don't need to face our new beginnings on our own. As a community of faith, we have each other, and we have God offering us a new song to dance with. We should not be shy about it, and we should try to dance to Jesus' divine tune. And don't worry, he will teach us how to follow the rhythm. If necessary, Jesus will let you step on his feet, and he will do the dance for you, over and over. As J. Emerson Johnson says, the divine composer longs for dance partners, and the music of life is God's invitation to dance. My prayer today is that you will join Jesus in the dance floor. Each of us is invited to dance with God. So let's turn on the music and let's start dancing. Now, to conclude, I would like to leave you with a blessing about new beginnings from John O'Donohue. I know this year has been full of changes and new beginnings at All Saints. As a daughter of this church, and as a person that was sponsored by you all into the ordained ministry, my heart and my prayers are with you. Even today, as I return, I miss seeing some of the staff faces in the altar. So as I lament with you, I also rejoice with you, excited to see your new adventure. The blessing says, in out-of-the-way places of the heart, where your thoughts never think to wander, this beginning has been quietly forming, waiting until you were ready to emerge. For a long time, it has watched your desire, feeling the emptiness growing inside you, noticing how you willed yourself on, still unable to live what you had outgrown. It watched you play with the seduction of safety and the great promises that sameness whispered, heard the waves of turmoil rise and relent, wondered, would you always live like this? Then the delight when your courage kindled, and out you stepped onto new ground, your eyes young again with energy and dream, a path of plenitude opening before you. Though your destination is not yet clear, you can trust the promise of this opening. Unfurl yourself into the grace of beginning that is at one with your life's desire. Awaken your spirit to adventure. Hold nothing back. Learn to find ease in risk. Soon you will be home in a new rhythm. For your soul senses the world that awaits you. Let's keep dancing, All Saints Church. Amen.